The situation of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in the Kharkiv direction of the front continues to deteriorate rapidly. Even Ukrainian war correspondents admitted that the Ukrainian Armed Forces are losing about 500 soldiers a day in the northern part of the Kharkiv region. The main reason for the heavy losses of the Ukrainian army in manpower remains the Russian-guided aerial bombs of the Fab family. According to war correspondents, Russian combat aviation is operating non-stop, delivering missile and bomb strikes not only at the position of the armed forces of Ukraine in the combat zone, but also in the nearest rear. For example, in the last 24 hours alone, the Russian aerospace forces have carried out about 10 bomb strikes on the Kharkiv aircraft factory, using Fab 500 guided aerial bombs. As it turned out, there are combat helicopters of the armed forces of Ukraine on the territory of this plant, as well as dozens of workshops that repair damaged military equipment. In addition, Russian intelligence has also confirmed that dozens of units of the armed forces of Ukraine, including NATO forces, are also based at such Kharkiv plants as Yuzkabel, Teyazmash, and Turboatom. It is reported that dozens of French and German military engineers are also located at these Kharkiv plants. It is reported that they are mainly repairing damaged Western heavy equipment. Against this backdrop, a reasonable question arises: why do the Ukrainian Army and NATO forces continue to use these factories to base their units and brigades, knowing in advance that Russian missiles and aerial bombs will rain down on these military facilities? The fact is that all these Soviet factories in Ukraine were built taking into account the future wars. All the hangars of these factories and underground chambers can withstand even an atomic bomb explosion. That is why NATO forces and the Ukrainian military feel relatively safe on the territory of these Soviet factories. However, as the current conflict has shown, regular strikes by heavy-duty aerial bombs of the Fab family cannot withstand even such robust Soviet factories. Over time, after numerous bomb strikes, the metal support structure of these plants begin to collapse, making the hangars of these factories and underground chambers inoperable. When Russian troops manage to destroy such a plant, Western generals are forced to place separate NATO brigades in dormitories of various Kharkiv institutes and universities. For example, 2 days ago, Russian ballistic missiles hit and destroyed the dormitory building of the Kharkiv Aviation Institute. As it turned out, at the time of the missile strike, there were about 40 active-duty soldiers and officers of NATO armies in this building, who fought on the side of the armed forces of Ukraine as part of the so-called Foreign Legion. Against this backdrop, it becomes clear that the Ukrainian General Staff, together with NATO, decided to turn Kharkiv into a powerful military base for a decisive counteroffensive, in order to dislodge Russian troops from the Kharkiv region. In view of this fact, the Ukrainian High Military Command continues to transfer a huge number of soldiers from other areas of the front, as well as from strategic reserves to the northern part of the Kharkiv region, to the Volchansk area. All this allowed the armed forces of Ukraine to restrain the advance of Russian troops. However, despite the numerical superiority and numerous counterattacks, the Ukrainian armed forces still cannot regain the lost territories in the northern part of the Kharkiv region. On condition of anonymity, a senior officer of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine told Ukrainian telegram channels that the city of Volchansk has become the largest military cemetery in the world. According to him, such losses in manpower were observed only during the Second World War. The fact is that General Sersky had gone crazy with a maniacal desire to dislodge Russian troops from Volchansk. The commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine constantly throws all new units of the armed forces into a meat grinder in Volchansk. And these Ukrainian units are systematically destroyed by Russian troops. Even pro-Ukrainian Western experts and analysts recognize the huge losses of the armed forces of Ukraine in manpower. According to them, the situation in Volchansk resembles the Kharkiv scenario, when the Ukrainian command continued to transfer tens of thousands of soldiers to that settlement, knowing in advance that only a few would get to the other side of the Dnieper. At the same time, some Ukrainian resources, including Telegram channels, admitted that the Ukrainian armed forces lose 300–500 soldiers every day, in the area of Volchansk and Lipsy. This means that the Ukrainian army is losing an entire battalion in the Kharkiv direction of the front each day. Meanwhile, on the night of June 29, Russian missile forces, together with the aerospace forces, launched a combined missile and bomb attack on military facilities of the Ukrainian Army and NATO forces, in regions such as Nikolayev, Odessa, Vinnytsia, and Kharkiv. According to preliminary data, during this attack, Russia used dozens of guided aerial bombs of the FAB family, as well as Iskander-M ballistic missiles. So, in the Vinnytsia region, Russian missiles struck a logistics hub of the Ukrainian army. It is reported that as a result of this attack, 2 classified military warehouses were destroyed, where Western 155mm shells were stored, as well as a newly arrived 5 units of American Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. In the Odessa region, near the city of Chernomorsk, Russian missiles also destroyed several warehouses with Western weapons systems. At the same time, it is worth noting that despite regular missile attacks, the NATO leadership continues to supply Western weapons to the Odessa region from neighboring Romania almost non-stop. In the Kharkiv region, near the village of Lipsy, Russian guided aerial bombs of the FAB family hit and destroyed units of Ukrainian nationalist formations. In addition, the guided aerial bombs also hit and destroyed several military facilities of the armed forces of Ukraine in the urban-type settlement of Borovaya, located southeast of Kharkiv. In the Nikolayev region, Russian ballistic missiles hit and destroyed a classified place for the deployment of maritime drones of the armed forces of Ukraine, as well as 2 military facilities, where NATO military instructors trained personnel of the Ukrainian Army. Sources in the Russian military department noted that these military instructors were British Army officers, who trained Ukrainian soldiers in sabotage operations in the Black Sea. It is reported that as a result of this missile attack, 60 Ukrainian soldiers and 5 British military instructors were killed.